Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada. I hope everybody has had a lovely week and is looking forward to a fantastic weekend. In this class, everyone, we are looking at IELTS Task 2 writing the essay. We're looking for that strong Band 9 finish. We started this essay yesterday with the planning and the thesis statement and the introductory paragraph. This is a members chat class. Of course, everybody is welcome to watch while we wait for some of our members to join in. This lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Visit us there. And for the general IELTS, check us out at IELTShelp.com. That's generalieltshelp.com, where we have lots and lots of help for your writing, including editing services, as well as materials for the other sections, strategies for the listening, reading, and speaking. Welcome, Anita. Hi, Deepika. Hi, Bakrati, Rashika, Nikhil, and Patel. Good to see many students in the class on time. This is our academic IELTS website here with the blue background. You can click this big red button to join our premium package. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. We are an official IELTS test registration center and certified agents, so you're in good hands with us. This is our general IELTS web portal here with the green background. Again, you can click that big red button to join us there. Welcome, Rajveer. And it only costs a fraction of the actual exam, so it's well worth it to avoid having to sit the exam again. It's a wise investment of funds. Again, just a reminder, this Sunday at 14 o'clock Universal Standard Time, we are releasing the My IELTS Band 9 Journey Episode 2. That's right, I sat the official IELTS exam incognito and we filmed it to bring you this experience. So every Sunday we are releasing an episode. It's a 5-part series. Definitely check that out. Mark it in your calendar. Hello, Paulo. All right. Students, if you have questions, send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com. If you're a new member, send me an email to make sure to get those perks. Also, if you haven't done this yet, download our app, Academic IELTS Help, link it to your aehelp.com account. Download the app, General IELTS Help, link it to gieltshelp.com, and follow us on Instagram, IELTS_ahelp and gielts help. Lots and lots of resources there for you to improve. All right, tomorrow, members, and it's good we have lots of members in the class. We just had Uzma join. Welcome, Uzma, to our group of members. Hi, Harbwinder. So tomorrow we will have a question and answer session at this time for members. So members, get your questions ready about IELTS, about English. Tomorrow at this time will be your chance to ask me any questions that you have, inquiries, thoughts that are troubling your mind about the exam. So we'll have that Q&A session tomorrow. It's always a first come, first serve type of situation. And then we'll have a speaking part 2 for everyone before we break for the weekend. Okay, so let's get into today's IELTS Task 2 writing. Yeah, S. Bakrati, welcome to our group of members. Send us an email to make sure I can hook you up with those perks that you have for your membership level. Ois, good luck on your IELTS exam tomorrow. I hope you do an excellent job. You've been studying hard, so I'm sure you'll do well. Just be confident, stay relaxed, get a good night's sleep. Okay, Ois, good luck on that exam. Okay. All right. So, Uzma, after becoming a member, send us an email to the email address that I showed you. Tell us what membership level you have so we can give you those perks. Okay. All right. So here's our task 2 writing that we started yesterday. This was the question here. The question was sent by June, okay, one of our members. This was the exam question about a month and a half ago, maybe. And here we go. So let's read the question. You should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Scientific research should be carried out and controlled by the government rather than private companies. Do you agree or disagree? Now, one of the interesting aspects of this question is that the statement is one-sided, right? It's saying that governments should control experimentation, scientific research, instead of companies. So do you agree with that one side or not? So this is kind of an interesting situation. We realized this during the planning stage yesterday. And you need to write at least 250 words. Okay. So we identified the topic as scientific research. We identified the controlling idea. We did some good critical thinking. We realized that for scientific research, both the government and private companies should have participation. Okay, so that was the important realization there. And then we came up with our thesis statement. This was my thesis statement here. I disagree that governments should be solely responsible for conducting and regulating experiments, as empirical pursuits by private corporations contribute competition, while authorities provide ethics to the process. So here I basically said, hey, it should be both, because private companies create competition, and we're going to explain why that is good in the body paragraphs. And then also that the authorities, the governments, provide ethics, so the humanitarian aspect of research. Okay, Akshay, good job on your IELTS score. I'm proud that you achieved such a score, and happy that you're good with that score and it works for your purposes. Congrats. Okay, so yesterday I gave you this homework to complete the introductory paragraph. And the introductory paragraph, according to standard literature, standard English writing for a persuasive essay, involves a hook, a background, and a thesis. So the hook is a short statement that uses the topic, in this case scientific research, which catches the reader's attention. Some IELTS trainers say, oh, it's not important. Well, it is if you want to get a band 7 or more, okay? So it depends what your goals are for the IELTS exam, but if you want to get a high IELTS band score, the hook is important as it's a standard part of essay writing. All right, I hope that some members did the homework. So if you did the homework and you wrote the hook and the background, then please share it in the chat now. So this was my hook. The advancements of scientific research are the building blocks of modern day humanity. Okay? So I just make it very clear to the reader what scientific research really means to modern day people or modern day society, right? Our society today is very strongly founded on scientific research, all right? So our technological advancements, our belief systems strongly depend on scientific research, our medical developments, our engineering, and so forth, right? Okay. Yeah, Paulo, absolutely the first sentence is the hook. It has to be the first sentence, okay? So the hook is always a first sentence. It's never not the first sentence that I've ever seen, okay? Patel says, science is everywhere. That's a little bit too broad. So, Patel, you want to be a little bit more specific than that, okay? Rashika writes, the results of scientific research allow the existence of nature. Ooh, Rashika, really? I don't know about that. I don't know if we... I don't know if nature exists because of scientific research. So make sure that, Rashika, it's accurate what you're saying. I think it's a little bit awkward. Scientific explorations have been conducted either by governments or individuals to enhance social welfare. Okay, that's not bad for the background, Rashika. Mostly, and understand the natural phenomenon of the globe. And then comes your thesis. Okay. Rajveer writes, scientific research has been beneficial for humanity for centuries. Yes and no. Some scientific research has led to problems. But yeah, Rajveer, okay, that's an okay hook. Yeah, I agree. That's a position to take. So scientific research has certainly been beneficial in many ways. The invention of penicillin, or the discovery of penicillin, for instance. Nick Hill says, empirical investigation plays an important role for the development of societies and individuals. Nick Hill, that's a good hook. Okay, I like it. For the IELTS, Nick Hill, I would just use the exact topic. So paraphrase a little bit later, but for the hook, use the exact same verbatim topic. So scientific research. Okay. All right. Ois writes, scientific research has been playing an essential role in human evolution. Good, Ois. Ois, be careful not to overuse the. It's a very common mistake by students using the too many times. Articles the, a, and an are usually avoided in good writing. So in good writing, we work to minimize articles the, and an, okay? So keep that in mind. That's just kind of a tip as you get into really advanced levels of writing. And this is true for Band 8 and Band 9. And this simply takes practice. Native speakers are not good at this also. They need to practice it and learn it. So this is a part of the Band 8, Band 9 writing. In Band 8, Band 9, which means very good and expert level writing, you must minimize the use of articles the, an, okay? It's actually considered not good to use too many of these articles in writing, okay? It breaks the flow of writing. All right? So careful with that. If it's not unique, in this case, scientific research is not a unique concept. You don't have to say the scientific research. It's just any scientific research, okay? All right. Mahi says humanity is surrounded by scientific research. It's not surrounded by scientific research, Mahi, because it's not passive. So humans are actually doing it, okay? So humans are deeply involved in scientific research. That would be better. Okay, Mahi? All right. So here we go. The background for me is, for the past century, experimentation in medicine, chemistry, physics, and engineering have boomed, and this trend must be carefully managed and maintained. Okay, so notice that in the background, I give the reader an idea of what we're actually talking about here. Okay, so when you think about the background, what you have to think about is the topic in the context of what are we actually discussing. And this should come from your planning, from your critical thinking in that first step that we did yesterday. Okay, so when we talk about scientific research, the specific domains that come to mind are areas like medicine, chemistry, physics, right? So don't overcomplicate it. Think about your science courses in school, right? We all take these science classes in school these days around the globe. And that's really what we're talking about here. And we're talking about the careful management and maintenance of this. Why? So we don't blow ourselves up, right? I think everybody knows that kind of funny imagery of the scientists exploding in the laboratory and blowing themselves up. So it has to be carefully maintained. I guess many of you have that visual image of the scientist in the lab coat mixing the chemicals and then kaboom, right? You see it in cartoons all the time. And then it has to be maintained, right? I think that most humans would be very scared if we suddenly stopped doing science. 8 billion people on the earth would probably be a very disastrous concept to just suddenly say, hey, science is not that great, let's stop doing it. And we'd be like, oop, oop. All right, so, and then of course, my thesis. So it all ties together, right? Who's responsible? All right. So here we go. The full, yeah, I'm good. I got a smile out of Rajveer and Paulo there. Yeah. So here we go. This is the full introductory paragraph to this question. Let me read it together and then we'll continue on. Students, when you're practicing your writing, you must make sure that your introductory paragraph is as good as possible. Okay. A good introduction will create a good essay. If you don't have a good introduction, it's virtually impossible to have a good essay. Okay, so here we go. The advancements of scientific research are the building blocks of modern day humanity. For the past century, experimentation in medicine, chemistry, physics, and engineering have boomed, and this trend must be carefully managed and maintained. I disagree that governments should be solely responsible for conducting and regulating experiments, as empirical pursuits by private corporations contribute competition, while authorities provide ethics to the process. Okay, so that's my introductory paragraph. It makes it very clear what my position is here in regards to the question, and it makes it very clear for the reader that I have direction and I have clarity in what we're discussing. Okay, so what scientific research is. All right, so now I'm ready to write body paragraph 1. And body paragraph 1 has to focus on this concept of disagreeing with the question because of the importance of corporations contributing competition. Okay, so body paragraph 1 starts with topic. Okay, that's my first part. It's the topic sentence, and the topic sentence is a deeper definition of thesis point 1, and in this case, it's the importance of companies contributing competition to scientific research. Okay, so that's what you have to think about. All right, and that's what your topic sentence has to focus on. So give me some topic sentences that tell the reader of, hey, companies definitely have a role to play in the scientific research process because they create healthy competition, all right? That is often not created to the same degree or to the same level by government, all right? All right. OS, that's a definition I think that you have there for your background of the introduction. When I read it, that's what it looks like. And that looks good for the background. Okay. So now I'm looking for this topic sentence. I'm going to write that as well. I'd really like to move along today, get through the body paragraphs and the conclusion. Yeah, see, so that's a good sign. It's a good sign when you know that I can read it and I know what element or what part of the essay you're actually presenting. Okay. So Rajveer writes, allowing private organizations to carry out and control scientific research along with governments foster competitiveness in the market, which is beneficial for humanity. Okay, Rajveer, that's pretty good. I think it's a little bit repetitive. I think you can introduce a bit more of a new perspective here. So yes, don't jump too much into the explanation, but maybe define the concept of competition. Okay, so um, so private organizations are motivated to bring the best products. I think we'll read a little bit better. Okay, and this is why reviewing your sentences is important. Okay, to bring the best products to the market, and this creates a high degree of rivalry in scientific pursuits that leads to very good quality results, or very good quality results. Okay. It's definitely challenging to think, type, and instruct all at the same time, but there you go. So this would be my topic sentence here. So private organizations are motivated to bring the best products to the market, and this creates a high degree of rivalry in scientific pursuits that leads to variety and quality results. And then here, I would also actually reflect the original question, which is not intrinsic to government research. Okay? So also here, I can finish the sentence by saying that this isn't the same when the government is doing research. Intrinsic means that it's not naturally a part of it. Okay? Intrinsic means it's a natural part of the process in this case. All right? So private organizations are motivated to bring the best products to the market, and this creates a high degree of rivalry in scientific pursuits that leads to variety and quality results, which is not intrinsic to government research. Okay, good. Rashika writes, allowing scientific research to conduct organizations create competition among individuals to produce quality products for society. Okay, Rashika, good. So you have a very similar kind of topic sentences I do, except you have a little bit of a grammatical mistake there in the beginning. So pay attention to that and rethink that. Okay. Bakrati writes, private corporations are the reasons for the competition in the scientific community. Instead of repeating scientific research there, I would actually write scientific community, which is beneficial for the rapid advancement of technology. Bakrati, instead of saying advancement in technology, I would actually write rapid advancement in technology. So it means the quick advancement. And that's a good point, right? When we have companies competing with each other, it's not only to bring the best products, but it's also to bring these products to the market quickly. So rapid advancement. And I think if we conceptualize, in this case, COVID, so in this context, COVID would actually be a very good example, because the race for vaccines by different corporations such as Moderna and AstraZeneca and Pfizer, these have become kind of everyday words in people's vocabulary. I believe one of the reasons that we were so fast to get these vaccines to the international community is because we had such fierce competition among these corporations, who were, of course, thinking, wow, the first pharmaceutical company to create this vaccine is going to leave its mark in history and will become extremely wealthy. So there was a lot of pressure. I can only imagine the meetings that some of these scientists and company owners had to create these products, right? So think about those examples, okay? And you can really come up with some great ideas. All right. Okay, everyone. So next comes the explanation. Okay. So here your reader's thinking, okay, well, why is that? So why is it good for humanity to allow private corporations to have this competition? And why is that good? Okay, so we have this information in our planning again, and I just talked about it. So now you just need to put it into words. Okay. So explanation means give a logical and quantitative insight into the reasoning for your topic sentence. Okay, so when I say quantitative, I mean use numbers. Okay, and it's true. I mean, if we think about it, governments often take a very long time to come up with solutions when it comes to scientific research because they're not as motivated. They don't have the same degree of pressure as private companies, right? So here, that's what we want to explain with this sentence, okay? So let me do that. You do the same, and then we'll compare, okay? All right. Bior said, I had my first IELTS attempt last week, got overall 6.5. All right, Bior, you got to work on that reading. Make sure you're reading every day, but overall not bad, okay? All right. So here we go with my explanation, okay? Okay, so here's an explanation for this, all right? Corporations are driven by reputation and profit, which is based in quality results quickly, meaning that innovations are produced in months rather than years and with good client feedback in mind, okay? So we can argue that the driving forces for a private company are to earn money. Of course, companies can't survive if they don't eventually earn money. And reputation. So companies aren't just money driven, but they're driven by passion and they're driven by reputation. They want people to say, hey, that's a great company. Hey, that's a good company. One of my favorite companies, for instance, is Dyson. Dyson makes vacuums, hand dryers, room fans, and they make just absolutely incredible products. They have amazing engineers, and they lead the world for products that have to do with airflow, so moving the air. They've just released a new hair dryer, and they're just absolutely incredible products, and you can tell that they're really driven by the reputation of Dyson is the best when it comes to a hair dryer, when it comes to a room fan, when it comes to a hand dryer. So think about these specific instances like Dyson, like the COVID vaccine race, to give you these ideas of why scientific research is so important in the private sector. Okay, so let's see what you have. Collaborating with and funding other research organizations are effective and economical ways to improve their innovative performance. Asthma, innovative performance, word form mistake just in the end there, but overall very good. Asthma. Okay, so good. Okay, Rajveer, Deepika, also some nice writing there. Okay, and now comes the example. All right, so here we want to write an example, and when we think about an example, think about real world. If it's something present, current that everybody knows, that's a really good idea. So present, real world, easy to identify, okay, and can be used in both paragraphs. All right. So I think in this case, COVID is a really good one. Everybody is aware of it. Okay. Again, I reminded students to not overuse COVID in their IELTS exam and their speaking and writing. But in certain contexts, like this one, if I got this question, I would certainly use it just because it's an extremely applicable and recognizable context. Okay. Bakrati, SpaceX is another good one. Yeah, SpaceX is very recognized, and that could be used as well. So absolutely, there are some other innovations. I think another one would be self-driving vehicles. So Tesla, Google, a couple other companies competing for the first self-driving car. That's a good one as well. Also, so there's a few good ones here. Okay, all right. Okay, so here's my example. In the race for the COVID vaccine to save millions of lives, private corporations such as Pfizer and Moderna produced effective new mRNA vaccines in less than a year's time because of their desire for recognition and profit. Okay, very easy to make this argument here. All right. And then my connecting concluding sentence. Okay, is this. This likely would not have been achieved by government research alone. So maybe, but there's a very good chance that if we would have left this up to the governments to say, hey, come up with a vaccine, they'd still be working on it, working on the administrative process, working on hiring staff, working on building the proper departments. So we might still be just stuck in administration, and all of us would still be sitting at home. And I know many people still are in this situation, but arguably the world's coming out of this pandemic much faster because of competition in the private sector. Okay, so, and I can see members are kind of on this page as well and realize this. Okay, so this paragraph looks long, but keep in mind that I have some lesson points embedded into this paragraph, so it's not actually that long. Let me read it for you now from the top. Always review your paragraphs, okay, when you're finished writing them. So private organizations are motivated to bring the best products to the market, and this creates a high degree of rivalry in scientific pursuits that leads to variety and quality results, which is not intrinsic to government research. Corporations are driven by reputation and profit, which is based in quality results quickly, meaning that innovations are produced in months rather than years and with good client feedback in mind. In the race for the COVID vaccine to save millions of lives, private corporations such as Pfizer and Moderna produced effective new mRNA vaccines in less than a year's time because of their desire for recognition and profit. This likely would not have been achieved by government research alone. Okay. All right. Now we go to body paragraph 2, and body paragraph 2 is same structure as body 1. Without concluding sentence. You don't really need a concluding sentence for the paragraph that comes before your conclusion, because the conclusion concludes the essay anyway, so it's usually just redundant. Now, in this case, all right, the second point is that authorities provide ethics to the process. So we need to have government intervention or government oversight to make sure that private companies aren't going into research which is ethically inappropriate, okay, which could be deemed criminal activity, okay? So here, let's get into body paragraph 2. Nevertheless, it is the responsibility of elected authorities to ensure that empirical pursuits are conducted humanely and that animals and people are not subjected to unnecessary cruelty for the sake of self-interest. Okay, so that would be my topic sentence here. So nevertheless, it is the responsibility of elected authorities to ensure that empirical pursuits are conducted humanely and that animals and people are not subjected to unnecessary cruelty for the sake of self-interest. Okay, so now I want to explain that, and I can see that Nikhil, Rashika, you're still writing, which is great. Okay, students, by the way, you can send your essay, members, to us by email to get a free score estimate. Okay, all right. Okay. Good example, Rashika. That works. Okay. Deepika writes, on the other hand, governments should take responsibility of the ethical values in doing research studies. Yeah, okay, Deepika, watch your grammar. Deepika, don't write on the one hand, on the other hand. Way too many IELTS candidates are writing on the one hand, on the other hand. Don't do that. It's just a waste of time. IELTS examiners just ignore that leading expression now because they see it so much that they literally, their eye will just jump over that leading expression. So don't use it, okay? All right. So the explanation here, all right? Okay, so indeed. Okay. So indeed, governments have implemented thousands of regulations to make sure that scientists do not cross ethical boundaries. One of the, so careful with spelling. One of the most internationally recognized guidelines is the Nuremberg Code of Experimentation, established after World War II, okay, which details specifically what can and cannot be done in research, all right? Okay. And then comes the example. And if you can, continue with the example from body 1. Okay, and that's what we're going to do here. So obviously when companies like Pfizer and Moderna were experimenting with their vaccines, they had to be very, very careful to not overstep certain boundaries, okay? So it was... Okay, so there's a great example if we continue with this. So it is the government's responsibility to oversee companies like Pfizer and Moderna to ensure that safety of billions, to ensure the safety of billions of people. And for this reason, COVID vaccines are still not permitted for younger populations below age 15. I would imagine that if it weren't for governments, probably everybody, babies, pregnant mothers, everybody would be getting vaccinated, but The governments say, hey, wait a second, let's not rush into this. If there are some bizarre side effects that we're not aware of yet, we cannot jeopardize the younger population of humanity, which is the future generation. And for this reason, we have to be patient. We can't rush into this process, this scientific process. So it's the government, I'm sure it's the government that has said basically, okay, you can start to immunize this group of people, but you cannot immunize this group of people. So clearly there's a strong collaboration between governments and private corporations to ensure the best results in this process. Okay. Bior Atem writes, certainly it is within the ruling authority's jurisdiction to oversee activities surrounding experimentation and production of these vaccines. Very good, Bior. I would finish that for the safety of humanity, right? So again, you want to be visible, measurable. You want examples that your reader can almost reach out and grab and hold. Okay, those are good examples. Rajveer writes, national authorities have experience in charting down and implementing standard operating procedures to ensure that both private and government entities maintain certain ethical boundaries while conducting scientific research. Very nice explanation, Rajveer. When you have a good explanation, when you have a good example, good topic sentence, it's very easy for your reader to identify, especially an examiner or somebody who's trained in literature, to identify what element of the essay you're actually writing. And those are both very good, Rajveer and Bior. Okay, very good. All right. OS writes, regarding the COVID vaccines, watch your spelling, OS. Regarding the COVID vaccines, governments are more committed to provide a safe vaccine, while private companies only want to produce the vaccines to achieve billions of dollars in profits. Okay, very good, OS. So that's your explanation. Just watch your spelling and grammar a little bit. All right. Rashika writes, the elected authorities have the responsibility to conduct a research ethically. They can create regulations and boundaries for organizations to ensure the safety of people and test subjects. Okay, Rashika, you're writing quickly, which is good. I want you to do that. When you're finished, go back, copy all of your writing out, and then make some corrections to your grammar and word use. Okay, I can definitely see, Rashika, that when you're writing faster, you make some more mistakes, but that's natural. I do the same, okay? We want to just take an extra step and correct those when we can, all right? Okay, so now comes my conclusion. Again, I don't need a connecting sentence here, just simply the conclusion, okay? The conclusion has 3 parts, all right? So points restated plus the argument strengthened plus a take-home message. And I think this is very clear here. Okay, so points restated. Okay, so there is the points restated, the argument strengthened. And the take-home message. Okay, so private companies contribute quality and speed to the research process, while governments provide. Let's actually say in conclusion. Okay, the IELTS examiners like to see this, so let's do that. Okay, so in conclusion, private companies contribute quality and speed to the research process, while governments provide ethical boundaries. Therefore, I think that both ought to be involved in empirical pursuits. At the end of the day, a collaboration between individual entities and national authorities leads to the best results. Okay, and now you have a solid essay. All right, so let's read this from the top and make sure it makes sense. So at home, when you're practicing, you should always review after each paragraph and then review your whole essay. Okay, ideally, if you're fast, you can do the same thing in your official exam. When I took my official exam, unfortunately, I went to the washroom, I had to take an elevator, and I didn't have time for that, and it did cost me in the end. So you're going to learn about that when you watch that series, My Band 9 IELTS Journey. Here we go. So from the top, and read the question again before you read and review your essay. So the original question is, scientific research should be carried out and controlled by the government rather than private companies. Do you agree or disagree? Okay, so here I disagree because I think it's both, right? So here's the response. The advancements of scientific research are the building blocks of modern-day humanity. For the past century, experimentation in medicine, chemistry, physics, and engineering have boomed, and this trend must be carefully managed and maintained. I disagree that governments should be solely responsible for conducting and regulating experiments, as empirical pursuits by private corporations contribute competition, while authorities provide ethics to the process. Private organizations are motivated to bring the best products to the market, and this creates a high degree of rivalry in scientific pursuits that leads to variety and quality results, which is not intrinsic to government research. Corporations are driven by reputation and profit, which is based in quality results quickly, meaning that innovations are produced in months rather than years and with good client feedback in mind. In the race for the COVID vaccine to save millions of lives, private corporations such as Pfizer and Moderna produced effective new mRNA vaccines in less than a year's time because of their desire for recognition and profit. Or if I want to paraphrase this now at this point and not repeat profit so often, I might use the word revenue. Okay. This likely would not have been achieved by government research alone. And then I might finish this with something like potentially costing millions of human lives. Okay, so if there's a delay in vaccines, maybe way more people die. So finish that idea. Nevertheless, it is the responsibility of elected authorities to ensure that empirical pursuits are conducted humanely and that animals and people are not subjected to unnecessary cruelty for the sake of self-interest. Indeed, governments have implemented thousands of regulations to make sure that scientists do not cross ethical boundaries. One of the most internationally recognized guidelines is the Nuremberg Code of Experimentation. It's actually the Nuremberg Code of Ethics. I should fix that. Established after World War II. It is the government's responsibility to oversee companies like Pfizer and Moderna to ensure the safety of billions of people. And for this reason, COVID vaccines are still not permitted for younger populations below age 12. In conclusion, private companies contribute quality and speed to the research process, while governments provide ethical boundaries. Therefore, I think that both ought to be involved in empirical pursuits. At the end of the day, a collaboration between individual entities and national authorities leads to the best results. That would definitely get you a band 9, that essay, as long as you have some good spelling, good grammar, you're good to go. And of course, that's band 9. So I'm showing you what a band 9 is. If you're like, well, I'll never write like that. That's not true. As long as you practice, you will. Here, the concept is, what is a band 9? And that's a band 9. Okay. All right. Harvinder writes, in conclusion, private companies need to be in competition in order to provide products so that the best in order to provide quality products that are available in less time, but it should be maintained by governments for ethical purposes. This leads to the better future for people. Very good, Harvinder. You can take out some of your words there to make it a little bit clearer, okay? Provide competitions is awkward there, Harvinder. Otherwise, it's a good conclusion, okay? All right, everyone. So that's task 2. That's about, writing about this topic of should governments or shouldn't governments. So be careful when you get this type of question, like, is it the government's responsibility or is it the responsibility of individuals? Think about it carefully. Come up with a good logical answer. Okay, this is an example of that. Very good work, members in the class today. And coming up in 30 minutes, we will have an all-chat class, which will focus on task 1 writing, and that will be a bar graph. So we'll have a bar graph for everyone for task 1, which is, of course, academic IELTS task 1 writing. You should always start with task 1 in the official essay. It's just that in these live classes, sometimes that's not the order. Hopefully, I will see all of you soon. Definitely for all of our viewers, check us out at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS for lots more help with all of the sections of the IELTS exam. You're very welcome, Nick Hill, Natalie, Rajveer, Rashika, Ois. Good luck on your exam, and Paulo. And hopefully I will see all of you in 30 minutes. I'm Adrian, signing out for now. Bye.